Hello, everyone. So I just got back from seeing Morbius. This is Sony's newest villain anti-hero origin film. So of course we had the Venom movies, and now we have Morbius. This stars Jared Leto. It also has Matt Smith in it. It's directed by Daniel Espinosa, who brought us films like Life back in the past, which starred Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. And this movie clocks in at about an hour and 45 minutes long. It is rated PG-13. So without further ado, let us talk about one of the two Batman films this year that was not great. So, Morbius, we all know him as a Spider Man villain, typically. The living vampire. He is finally brought to the big screen, and yeah, his first big screen appearance is his own solo movie, which I think worried quite a lot of people because some fans were just worried about the source material really being enough to make a Morbius film. I personally believe that it was there. Is this it? Of course, we'll get into that. So, Michael Morbius is a biochemist who's trying to cure himself of a life threatening disease, a rare blood disease that is killing him and his brother. Basically, someone who he created a very strong bond with in basically an orphanage for very sick children. They grow up, both become pretty successful, but of course, Michael Morbius, way more successful than his brother, played by Matt Smith, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead through experiments of trying to basically inject himself with vampire DNA or vampire badge DNA to help cure his blood disease. And yes, in doing this, he turns himself into the living vampire, which basically grants him abilities of superhuman strength, durability. He's able to hear things on almost like a Superman level. Guy is a flight. He's super strong. Of course, he needs blood to survive, and he can suck someone dry if he absolutely needed to, which he tries to fight off. But a lot of his film is him basically trying to come to terms with his powers and not let them overtake him in terms of the bloodlust that of course a vampire would have, while also too having to deal with his brother, again played by Matt Smith, who is ridiculing him and basically feeling like he has been left to die because Morbius will not let him take the same vampire bat DNA, which in a sense saved him, but is it really saving him? There's kind of that question that goes throughout this entire film. So that is the basic plot synopsis of Morbius. And yeah, there's not really much more to say story about this film. It is, oh my goodness, very fast paced. Like I said, when I saw that this film was only going to be an hour and 45 minutes long, I was a little concerned about how quickly this film was going to move, how much it was going to brush over, and it brushes over a lot. There's just so much more that this movie could have been, and they definitely picked probably one of the most boring origins that they could for Morbius. It's really tough to get into his character too because it's just reckless scientist. You can almost see him as big pharma in this too, where experiments that he's doing, the people's lives that he's putting in danger by doing all of it is not something to look up to or really have interest in, whether you're looking at him as a villain, an anti-hero, or if you want to see him as a hero, which I feel like this movie did kind of try to paint him as, but that's not what Morbius is about. Jared Leto is he's decent in this film. Same thing with Matt Smith. They're both incredible actors, like they absolutely can be. But with the scripts that they were given in this, the CGI, the direction, there's no way that their performances were going to be good. So I don't want to fault them, but yeah, it's just really, really not great. There's really bad dialogue in this film. A lot of it is just, I think the worst line has to come from a scene where Morbius is in prison talking to cops, and it's like he's starting to shake a little bit, and he drops the "I'm starting to get hungry and you don't want to see me when I'm hungry," and then he does like a little just a really cheesy, corny, shitty little rage that Morbius does in this. And Matt Smith has a lot of those scenes too, where the dialogue's really bad. When they try to get these vampires to roar, like shine their teeth, it doesn't come off as intimidating or scary. It comes kind of off as like a raw XD kind of sort of vibe that they give to it. Even when it comes to the powers, there's some really bad CGI effects, especially to if in the first Venom film, there's one scene where he yells at his neighbor and it's almost like an Instagram filter that comes on their face. there's a lot of that in this too. Like the Instagram or Snapchat filter of basically when they're moving, they have this smoke that follows them, and it does not look good at all. I found the echolocation looks decent, but again, it was just so wavy and gross, and the sound design in this isn't doesn't help it at all either. There's just a lot of really, really bad sound effects in this, or sound effects that are missing when characters land or punches are thrown. Some of the worst fake blood or CGI blood I've ever seen. All the fight scenes are completely CGI too, and they're, I mean, not that I thought it was really all too bad, but the CGI fight scene in Black Panther was way better than what we got here in the Morbius films, where a lot of them are just shot so zoomed in and you can't tell what's going on. The characters are crashing through buildings, fighting each other, and there's more debris flying than you even see like a character's arm in a shot. It's not filmed well, just so messy and gross. Whenever any of the characters try to fly, they look more like flying squirrels than they do vampires. It's nuts. It's messy. It's a very messy, messily directed, written film, and yeah, it's just it wasn't intimidating at all. I didn't feel like Morbius to me. I feel like this movie probably could have been good if they tried, and especially too if they wanted this film to tie into the Sony verse or like the Spider Verse. They could have talked about Oscorp. They could have had Michael Morbius's operation be almost like close to a non for profit medical system where they're trying to give cures to young kids, but say they get shouted out or stole like funds stolen from them from Oscorp and things like that, and almost had this be like a against big pharma kind of movie and how the American medical system fails so many people. If they wanted to go down that line and have like little dialogue about that, that would have made for a more interesting character story, morals, beliefs, drives for the characters, where there just isn't anything in this movie. Matt Smith's villain is just sucks. It's one of the worst villains I've ever seen in a superhero film, I should say. It's just so forgettable, and yeah, this I want this movie out of my head. I wish that didn't happen. The after credit scenes both play off of multiverse theme that of course Spider-Man No Way Home had. There's like you see the exact scene where the sky's kind of closing and it involves Michael Keaton's Vulture in a way that just doesn't make sense. It goes completely against the rules and the lore of the MCU, and I don't understand why they cut his scenes from the movie and just put him into the after credits. It's messy, it's gross, it doesn't make any sense at all. Again, it's just it's completely everything against what the MCU's actual multi like what Doctor Strange was doing in No Way Home. It goes completely against that. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. And yeah, with all this taken together, I was thinking about giving this movie a 4 out of 10, but after that after credit scene just not making any sense at all, completely going against all that, I'm gonna have to give Morbius a 3 out of 10. Can't recommend it to anyone who's a fan of the character or superhero movies, anti-hero movies. It's not good. I don't think it's the worst comic book movie of all time. I still feel like that's going to be fantastic for me, but this is very, very damn close, and I can't recommend it. I will never ever watch this again. I don't even think I'll watch the fights or any scenes from it again. Just stay away from this movie, really. But if you've seen Morbius, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And if you like this review, you can definitely give it a thumbs up and check out everything I do on this channel through my playlist down below. And of course, I'll link some up top here. Subscribe to Unload a Ring Run if you want to know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out everything I do live stream and Twitch wise, there's a link to that in the description of this video, and of course my channel bio. And in both of those places, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that is awesome in this world. So you can join that amazing community. That'll make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, just awesome guys. Don't go see Morbius.